Welcome to Life Picks Relationships, helping you understand and enliven your marriage through the various perspectives and experiences of others who found a way to prioritize what's really important in life. From new love to those that have weathered the storms, let's get ready to take your relationships to the next level with your host, ST.
Hey Life Pixers, hope you're having an awesome day. First things first, if you have any relationship questions, you know where to put them. lifepicksrelationships.com. On the podcast page, there's a place for you to go and put in all your marriage questions so that way they can go and get answered on this podcast. Now, I'm really excited for today's guest, the no tie guy, a guy who on his wedding day wasn't happy with how his shirt just flopped down and didn't stay up so nice and neat. And so the idea was born to go and stick in a piece of cardboard to maybe go and keep it standing. Now, obviously cardboard isn't going to go and last forever, but the idea was really cool. And so he spent another 3 years going and inventing the $1 million collar, which you can now go find at $1millioncollar.com or on Instagram, $1 million collar. I'm going to put all his links in the show notes. He actually did a bunch of other businesses before, a lot of high end and real estate, diamond, been working a lot. Thank you so much, Rob, for being here. I am super excited to be speaking with you. You want to start by describing to us your worst dating story?
Worst dating. My dad set me up with
Dad set you up. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I mean, he's a pretty big businessman. So, he ran in some good circles. So I'm like, oh, that was like a daughter of a Green Bay Packer or something like that. And it just happened to be one of those nights that we were out and about and I just kept running into everybody I knew, just like, hey, what's up? And it was like, hey, this is so-and-so. And sometimes I would forget to introduce her. And finally she just kind of got super clingy and she would start interjecting we're on a date. And I was like, dude, what is going on? So I ended up having to kind of go into a bar, and then she went to the bathroom and I boned out. I just couldn't do it anymore. It was super bad. And then my dad's like, dude, what happened? I'm like, it we got lost. We just got separated. I don't know what happened. It just went that way.
Pressure build up. Okay, so I know now you're married for 7 years and you have a great relationship, but it hasn't always been like that. So before I get into your past, let's hear what your marriage is like today.
It's 8 years now.
Oh, 8 years. I'm wrong.
Yeah, 2013. Okay. Yeah, it was early 2013, February 11th. Guys, don't forget your wedding date. So yeah, we're both very I don't know if I'm type A. I think I am type A, maybe. We're both very dominant. We're both type A. We both know what we want. And so when we disagree, it is earth shattering. We just cannot see eye to eye. And finally somebody will just kind of knock the sense into the conversation and say, look, dude, you are not hearing me at all. And that's when it's okay, then we start to take a step back and kind of come off our pedestal and say, okay, well, what are you really trying to say? What am I really trying to say? And then it's okay, well, we're really not that far off. Let's get together. I heard a piece of advice that I've been trying very, very hard to work on. And it is, if it won't matter in 5 years, don't waste 5 minutes. And
I love that.
It's great. But in the moment, you're I am going to scorch the earth and win this argument. But, sometimes I got to just remember that 5-year thing and just say, just throw in the towel. And then she makes one last freaking snide remark. And I'm like, you just couldn't let it go. And we're back at it again.
Oh, yeah. Fighting hard. We probably also get together really fast afterwards. Actually, I really think this is not based on any research, just from my own personal observation, that most fights that people have, like you said, is because they're not really defining so much what they're fighting about and what they want. So they're just both yelling at each other without really understanding each other. That, like you said, that they're both you're so close together and it's not really that hard to go and figure out how you could go and make this work. If only just take a step back and see what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard with two strong personalities. I mean, when it's good, it's amazing. But when we battle, we battle.
I guess it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
Now, How would you say your marriage is different from when it was 8 years ago?
Um, I think in the beginning, for us at least, we were both dating other people when we met. And it wasn't like we didn't cheat, we didn't overlap, we didn't do any of that. We just really connected on a different level. So the dating went really fast because, she was bitching about her boyfriend, I was bitching about my girlfriend, and we knew what not to do that the other person that was doing that they hated. So dating, once we did start dating, it was just like, oh, I mean, she moved in within 5 months. We were engaged in 14 months. We were married 14 months later. Um, so the dating went fast, and we just got in and dove into business quite a bit right off the bat. So, it didn't really change a ton. I think now it's more about spending quality time together. We have finally, not finally, but we've spent more time apart in the last couple months than we did in our entire relationship. Growing up, I started out in real estate when I was probably 23 or 24, 25 years old. And I would watch these couples that wake up in the morning next to each other and then have breakfast and then go to work all day and then go to have dinner and then go to sleep together. And I'm like, that looks awful. But we've done that. And we basically packed like 10 years of relationship into the first 3 years we were together before we even got married, because she quit her corporate job, she opened her gym, I had my company, we bought a building, our offices separated the two work areas. So we sat back to back all day long, and then I'd help her with her business and she'd help me with mine. And so there was a lot of that. Now we've got integral, businesses that are integrated into each other's lives, and things that we do together and things that we do separate. But yeah, it's been wild. I mean, we appreciate the time together a lot more now because we've actually spent more time apart than we had in the past.
Why are you spending, like, what happened that you're spending more time apart than you were in the past?
So Linda is a Hollywood stunt woman. She is a super badass chick. And there's two main hubs basically in the US. There's Los Angeles and Atlanta, Georgia. And so we had everything established in Los Angeles. We have our yacht charter business. We have all these things going on there. And she got a job in Atlanta, and she was gone for 2 months, I think. And I saw her, I think, once in 7 weeks. And the longest that it before had ever been, I think, is maybe 10 days that we had like not seen each other. And so she started going back and forth, and we decided to buy a house in Atlanta. So packed up everything, and like within 2 weeks she found a house, dropped an offer, closed on it, packed up our house in Los Angeles. I drove across country with the two dogs and moved all of our stuff out to Atlanta. So, and then of course, no sooner than I got to Atlanta, she got a job for 3 or 4 weeks back in California. So now she's back in California, and I go back on the weekends while we close out and the sale on our yacht charter business. So I got back last night, and I'm going back on Friday morning. So it's back and forth now for
crazy life that for sure has like a major effect on your own body physically and mentally and on your relationship. What's that like?
I tried a red eye overnight. That was freaking brutal. I mean, I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. So sitting in one of those airplane seats never has been that comfortable for me. I even got the exit row and had the side, and I was trying to sleep, but I just couldn't get comfortable. So after back to back and 9 hours on the water, I went right to the airport and got on a plane and flew for 5 hours. And it was just, that was brutal. So I think I've lost a lot of weight because I'm not really eating all that much because I've been working on the house and just get distracted and just haven't been doing that. But, on the relationship side, because we would spend so much time together, especially the last year with COVID, we were all in. Like 90% of our life was the yacht business because that's the only thing that was generating any money. And so we were literally spending every minute of every day together, doing everything, doing all the charters, doing all the bookings. And that was getting like a lot. And so now when she's across the country, there's multiple phone calls a day. It's what's up, like what's happening. There's actually developments in our personal lives that the other one doesn't know about because we're not next to each other all day long. So it's actually having good conversations and like learning about what's happening and finding out, after the day and getting a cool recap instead of, oh, I just hung up with so-and-so. I'm like, yeah, I know. I heard the conversation. We're sitting 3 feet apart.
Right now you're like actually curious to go and know and going to find out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if just curious, if that was the only thing that was making money at the time, why did you decide to sell it now?
We had to get out of Los Angeles. That was kind of my thing. The taxes, the regulations, I mean, with 5 LLCs between us, it cost us $4,000 a year just to reside in California. We bought newer cars, and the registration was just asinine. And literally, and I hate that word. Our house that we rented in Los Angeles was about 1,200 square feet. We bought a house that is 4 times larger here in Georgia. It's on 5 acres, and it is less than half the price of what we were renting in. So I just feel like the quality of life is going to be so much better here. We've got a bunch of stunt friends. We're putting in a volleyball court in the backyard so we can have everybody come over and this be like the party house, because it's like way too big for 2 people and 2 dogs. So.
Yeah, well, that's going to be fun. I'm curious to hear what's going to become of it later on. Now,
Yeah.
You said that you have like a whole past before you actually got to your marriage. I'm curious to hear what that was, and then afterwards, how it actually affected your marriage today.
Yeah, I interviewed a lot of women before I got married.
When you say interviewed, what do you mean?
Yeah, I was total player, slept with everybody I could. I worked in a real estate office, and I slept with 7 women in that office alone. And I mean, after 3 or 4, word got around, but apparently people still didn't really mind. So I don't know. I kind of saw it as a challenge. I loved like chase. I do love. I mean, I always have. My dad's in the engagement ring business, so I sold. I saw couples come in, and you could just tell when one was going to work. Yeah, but you know what? You can tell, and I think what works with Linda and I is we're on the same level of adoration for each other. Like you can see when like the guy is just like gaga over his chick, and she's just like not really into it, or vice versa. And it's just like, if that balance is that far off, it's just not going to work. And there's definitely days that Linda is more into me than I'm into her, and I'm into her. So, but I think overall we're kind of on that same level. But yeah, I definitely slept around. I definitely had a lot of encounters, but I feel like I got I'm not curious about anything. Like the guy that gets married at 23 right out of college hasn't done all the stuff that he probably watches on his computer when his wife's not around. I'm not really curious about any of that stuff. I pretty much did all the things that I would be curious about. So, when I decided, I had a group of friends, and one of the guys was married, and we would go out on the weekends or travel, and he was just trying to bang every chick he could. And I was like, it is just so scummy that you would commit your life to somebody and then go do that. And I just, in my heart of hearts and just my moral code, said, if I'm going to put a ring on someone's finger and commit my life to them, I'm going to commit my life to them and not, cross that line. So when I met Linda, there was just something about her. Like I would always push with a girl. I'd be like, what can I get away with? And what can I get away with? Hey, call a friend. Let's have a threesome tonight. And they'd be like, okay. And I'm like, you can't marry a girl like that.
Yeah.
But I would push, I pushed Linda. Like I said, we connected on more of a business and a long-term life goal plan. But, I pushed her a little bit, and she was just like, no. And I respected the fact that she would say, look, this is what I'm about. This is who I am. And there's just not stuff I'm willing to do. And so she just stood out, man. I cheated on every girl I ever dated except for my first, real girlfriend in high school. She went off to college at Madison, Wisconsin, cheated on me by Halloween, I think. So she shattered my heart pretty good. And I just was like, I'm ready to play the game. And I did for quite a while. I don't know.
And going back, what would you tell yourself at that stage, at all those years, like now, about what happened? Like if you could give yourself advice then, what would you tell yourself?
About my past?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't change anything of the way that I did it. I mean, I might be more aggressive with talking to girls. I'm pretty introverted.
Really?
I don't know how. Yeah, like this, we've been introduced. I'm open, like I can flow. But if I was just in a bar by myself, it would be really hard for me to try to strike up conversation with somebody. And I would just kind of sit by myself and keep, to myself in those situations. So I would definitely try to be more open. But you know what? The things that I did, the girls that I dated, the one night stands, whatever, led me to Linda. I mean, the decisions that I've had, business ideas that I didn't follow through with, and ones that I did follow through with, and you can't, like, I wouldn't change anything where my life is right now. I love where I'm at. I love the relationship I have. I love my family. And I think if you go look back and you try to say, well, I wish I would have done this differently, you know, that's just living with regrets. That the past is the past and you can only change the future. So I wouldn't change anything.
Totally. So what do you think, right? It led you up to Linda, but what do you think was the greatest thing that you took from the past and how you view your marriage now?
The biggest thing far and away is not to settle. Like, I knew what I wanted in a partner. I knew what I wanted in a wife, from the way that she looked, the way that she held herself, to what she believed and who she wanted to be. And I just never settled. Like I said, when I sold engagement rings for my dad, I feel like you would come in and see that and you hear it all the time. Oh, we've been together for 10 years, so we just got married. It's just like, dude, that's not exciting. And I said something like off the cuff, like, yeah, you know, we're going to settle down and get married. And Linda goes, why would we settle down? Let's go. And so, I mean, we got married in 2013. In 2015, I took her to Los Angeles for her birthday. Surprise trip. It was her favorite TV show my buddy was on. We got premiere tickets. We came home from that trip. We had met so many incredible people. She said, dude, let's do it. I said, when? She said, by my next birthday. So within that 362 days, we sold my business, sold my house, sold a car, sold a boat, sold all of our furniture. If it didn't fit in our truck, we didn't take it, and we started over completely. And that was 2 years into our marriage. So and now, like, again, we're in LA for 5.5 years, and she's just like, you know what? Georgia's not so bad. Let's do it. And within 2 weeks, I had the house packed in the back of a truck and driving, 3 days across country with 2 dogs.
Yeah, you're not sure if you're type A. You most definitely are married to a type A. Just get it going and get it hard. I like that. Now, what you knew so much, you tried so much, you learned a lot before you were married. Was there anything that you wished you knew before you got married, or you just were totally prepared
about marriage?
About marriage, about your relationship, about everything?
No, I mean, it's an adventure. We figure out as we go. We learn that we like things. We learn that we don't like things. I asked a lot of questions when I sold engagement rings, because it wasn't all engagement rings. There was a lot of anniversary rings, people that are married 20, 30, 40 years. My parents got divorced when I was in 4th grade. My dad has since been re-divorced. My mom's still together with my stepdad. He's 15 years younger. So, I'm like, well, my mom's got a guy 15 years younger. I'll date a girl 15 years older and see how that is. And so, I don't know. I just tried everything. I was open to anybody. I didn't really have you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, I think under the right circumstances, any 2 people can fall in love. And
totally. Yeah. Now, do you think that had an effect on you, on your own relationship, on your dating past, the fact that both your parents were divorced and your father re-divorced?
The only fact was that if I was going to do it, I never wanted to go down that path. Linda's parents have been together for 40 years. They've, always like high school sweethearts. I mean, that's all they know. And I appreciate that. I like the fact that they've stuck it out and gotten through the hard times, because, in our boat, we had a little ski boat we actually bought for $100. But we called it Team Kesselberg. It was half my last name, half her, but it was always team. It was like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We. It was never like an I and an I. So I know that, if we stick together, that we're so much stronger together. And it's just the times we fight is when we start to look inside and try to be more I centric instead of we centric. And then it's like, okay, I was being a little selfish there, and we can straighten it out.
And do you find, this is I'm curious, a little bit doing more my research on this, trying to find out if it's true or not, but do you find that there's one of you who, when you're both fighting, there's one of you that will break the fight, realize that like, hey, we have to step back from this more, or is it like about 50-50?
I never been a huge confrontation guy. I'd like to just get my point out, and then I need to walk away. And so I am the kind I in the fight if am of, look, we're going in circles, we're not getting anywhere. I'm just going to walk away. Like it's only going to get worse from here because we've said what we've had to say and we're not connecting. So let's just let it cool down. Um, I can get my piece out and she can get her piece out, and I can go to sleep that night and just say, look, let's start over tomorrow. She is, I want to finish this tonight and make sure that everything is good. So then it sparks back up. It's like, well, I want to finish this tonight. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm good and I just want to go to sleep and I don't want to yell anymore. So then we're trying to figure out, who wins.
And it's like
one.
a fight about the fight. Yeah, like the whole debate of whether you should like don't go to sleep angry or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it works for like, to me, I can just go to sleep, reset. To me, every day is a new day. So you know what? Let's just leave that where it is. Let's go to sleep. If there's more to talk about in the morning, we can, but usually like 99 times out of 100, I'm like, I just wake up the next day and just say, how are you? Good morning, kiss, like, have a great day. Let's crush it. So that's how I am.
Yeah, no. So like you think the opposite, even though most people think that like, no, you have to go and work it out. And I think that I don't think there's a right or wrong or one way or the other, but you're going to sleep. You're not going to sleep angry anymore. You're going to sleep like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm finished with this. So you wake up in the morning, you're not angry. You're like, it's a new day. So even though it didn't figure it out and you didn't think, you're not going to sleep angry, actually.
Yeah.
Now,
Then I get a chance to like cycle it in my head in silence, like, okay, she said this and I was saying this, and I just kind of think on it, and then eventually I'll fall asleep, and then tomorrow's a new day.
yeah, like process the whole thing, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, do you use the 5 love languages in your marriage?
I think we try to. We both have read that deal. I'm not like super conscious about it, but I know there's definitely times where some of those are lacking, and then it's okay. I got to pay a little more attention to this, or I haven't gotten her flowers in a while, or I haven't left her a card, or done little surprises. She loves that stuff. So not super conscious about it, but I'm sure we're doing them, most of them.
You do what you would do and what works for you. Now, what was your biggest surprise about Linda after you got married?
I don't know. I wasn't really surprised. I mean, I didn't want to have any surprises. So, we spent a lot of time together and worked through a lot of things before we got married. So I don't really feel like I'm all that surprised about anything. I don't think she certainly didn't change. I don't think I changed after the wedding. So
You really just came really, really prepared and like knew what you're getting yourself into, knew your past, knew her past, just ready to go and crush it even more.
that's called BL and BR, before Linda, before Rob. It's, we don't get into deep details, but she knows who I was. And I mean, she had plenty of girlfriends that said, dude, don't date this guy. He's totally going to screw you over. And, thank God she's independent and stuck to her guns. But I mean, I think that's the point of dating, is getting that stuff figured out before you commit your life to somebody. Like, you don't want to be finding out something about somebody after you've signed on the dotted lines, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, we took dating serious. Neither of us had been in a relationship more than 2.5 years, and now it'll be 11 years in like August or September. So
Yeah, well, she sounds really, really strong. Between her friends, between you, like she sticks to her guns.
Oh, she turned 18. She was out of the house. She was off to college. She was making a ton of money working at a bar in college. She got out of college, got into a corporate job. She was like the right hand to the CEO of a very successful snack food company. So she was in it, doing 5-star everything at 23, 24 years old. I mean, she's just cranking. So yeah, I mean, that's who I wanted. I did not want to be the guy that was like, paying for the arm candy, and like, I wanted to build stuff with her. I mean, we complement each other so well. So I came up with the idea for the yacht charter business. We both kind of into boating, but I had a friend that was doing yacht charters. We sold our commercial properties, and I said, I think that there's an opportunity. Like, we get this boat, we do this thing. And then she like implemented it. Back end contract, she figured out, follow-up, she figured out, website she built. I mean, she did all that stuff. And so like I take them out, she's the first mate, and together we just like crushed that business, grew it from nothing, and in 3 years, less than 3 years of selling it for a pretty significant profit. So we like taking stuff from concept to reality and then selling it. That's the third or fourth business we've sold. So not sure what the next one will be, but probably along the lines of horses, because that's her passion. So we got to figure out something with horses.
I love horses too. So you better let me know what that happens.
We're doing she booked us she did it a couple years ago. We're doing a horse drive. So 4 days in June in the Sierra Nevadas, we're going to take 100 head of horse up the mountains for 4 days. We ride 8 hours a day. I mean, I took a couple lessons. Like, I'm not a horse guy. So I don't know. We're doing that in June. I mean, whatever, let's figure it out. She loved it. So,
it's going to be fun. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's going to be blast. I mean, we're on 5 acres now, and we're trying to get the 5 acres next door. So if we had 10 acres, we could have up to 8 horses on this property. So, maybe there's a chance to help some friends and let them rent some space or something, and just we've got so much land, they can just graze out here. It's the perfect grass for it. And she's been riding since she's 8. So
cool.
We'll see.
Well, you guys really sound like you both respect each other and complement each other so well. So you just make it work. Now, for our final question, how would you describe an extraordinary relationship without using love, connection, and intimacy?
Balance. One of my tattoos that I had before the wedding was I wanted a really loose yin yang. And so I have 2 koi fish swimming kind of in a yin yang pattern. One's green, which is my color. One is blue, which is her color. And
you got this before you were married?
Before the wedding.
Okay.
But I knew that it was for her. I mean, it was us. That's why I got it. But
yeah,
I always said from the beginning, and we always said it, is that we balance each other out. She's very organized, and she's got that side, and I'm like wild and creative. And when we respect those things out of each other, that's when we're the best. Like, she gets mad at me because I'm not organized and I don't write stuff down in a calendar. It's like, that's not who I am. That's who you are. She carries this calendar everywhere she goes so she can look back on any day and know what happened. And I'm like, that's amazing. And I will try it, but it's not going to work. But I will be the one that, makes a bunch of money on the boat and says, let's go do this, and sweep her off and go up to wine country for a couple of days, or we'll go do that. And that is me. So the balance between us and respecting that we're different in those aspects is why we have been so successful, I think.
I love that. Yeah, like the quote, like appreciating the similarities and respecting the differences is what makes a relationship work. So
that fits.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
That's all for this episode of Life Picks Relationships, and we have a huge favor to ask of you that will not only support this show, but also give others what they need to take their marriage to the next level. We're striving to have 1 million downloads per episode by December 31st, 2025, so please share it with your family and friends so they can turn their relationship into an extraordinary one.